So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And as always, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you right now. Drop a comment below. Let me know if it is the dead of night or if you're catching this on your morning commute. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You stand on the crumbling edge, the air thick and hot, smelling of brimstone and something else. Something metallic and ancient, like blood rust. Below you, the world doesn't just drop away. It asterisk churns asterisk. It's not a single chasm, but a dizzying, impossible vista of countless chasms, jagged peaks, and rivers of what might be fire or molten rock, all twisting and reforming with a sickening lurch that sets your teeth on edge. This isn't just a place. It's a living, malevolent entity, breathing out a miasma of chaos and despair. You feel the ground beneath your feet tremor, not from an earthquake, but from the very fabric of existence here struggling against its own nature, perpetually collapsing and rebuilding. This, my friends, is your first glimpse of the abyss, the infinite layers of absolute, unadulterated chaos and evil, the very source of countless nightmares. It's a realm born not just from negative energy, but from the raw, unfiltered essence of chaotic evil. Thought itself, a place that perfectly embodies what the ancient Greek philosopher Anaximander might have called the asterisk aperon asterisk. The unlimited, the indefinite. But here it's an infinity gone horribly beautifully wrong. Imagine every bad decision, every cruel impulse, every act of senseless destruction, coalescing into a tangible, if ever-shifting, landscape. It is a bit like trying to categorize a particularly messy toddler's playroom after a sugar rush. If the toys were also actively trying to eat each other, and the floor kept turning into a ceiling, you glance around, and the very act of looking feels like a challenge to your mind. The sky above, if you can call it that, isn't blue or grey, but a roiling canvas of shifting hues, blood red, sickly green, bruised purple punctuated by flashes of lightning that seem to strike nothing in particular, just the air itself, crackling with raw, untamed power. The light is inconsistent, flickering, as if the sun itself has lost its mind and decided to play a game of cosmic hide-and-seek. You'd think the endless thunder would be deafening, but it's more of a pervasive hum, a low growl that vibrates in your chest, a constant reminder of the realm's terrible energy. It is a place where the laws of physics are less like strict rules and more like polite suggestions that are frequently ignored. Up is down, left is right, and sometimes you'll find yourself walking on a ceiling only to realize it was the floor moments before. It makes sense, really, when you consider that the abyss is said to have spawned from the very essence of chaos, a primordial scream that tore a hole in reality. Historians still argue whether this scream was a literal event, a metaphor for the universe's inherent instability, or perhaps the byproduct of an unimaginable ancient conflict, so vast it fractured the very planes of existence. Some fringe scholars even posit that the abyss isn't asterisk place asterisk at all, but rather an asterisk state of being. Asterisk that simply manifests as a plane, a bit like a bad mood that somehow gains sentience and starts building cities out of pure spite. Your senses are assaulted from all sides. The air carries not just the scent of sulfur, but a metallic tang, like old coins and fresh blood, mixed with something cloyingly sweet, like decaying roses, or perhaps something far worse, a promise of corruption. You might even catch a whiff of ozone, or the acrid smell of burning flesh, or the musky scent of ancient, unwashed beasts. It's disorienting, designed to break down your perception of normalcy, to make you question the very ground beneath your feet. You try to focus on a distant peak, only to watch it ripple and dissolve into a new, grotesque valley, or perhaps a spiraling vortex that plunges into an unseen depth. It's like watching a Salvador Dali painting come to life. Only the melting clocks are also screaming. Consider, for a moment, the human mind's desperate need for order. From the earliest days of civilization, we've sought to impose structure on the world. Ancient Babylonians meticulously mapped the stars, believing celestial order reflected earthly destiny. Roman engineers built roads that stretched for thousands of miles, straight as an arrow, a testament to their desire for control and predictability. Even in the seemingly chaotic world of medieval Europe, the Church provided a rigid framework of belief, a comforting sense of divine order amidst plagues and wars. But here, in the abyss, every single one of those comforting structures is not only absent, but actively inverted and mocked. This endless, shifting landscape is why mapping the abyss is a fool's errand. You could spend a lifetime charting a single layer, marking its landmarks, its rivers of ichor, its mountains of bone, only for it to reshape itself in the blink of an eye. It's the ultimate expression of radical change, a place where even the ground you stand on is unstable, unreliable. It makes the shifting sand dunes of the Sahara look like a perfectly groomed golf course. Some say there are certain stable layers, places that retain their general form for eons. But even these are prone to spontaneous, catastrophic alterations, like a historical monument suddenly deciding to turn into a giant, flesh-eating golem. The very concept of layers itself is a point of contention among planar scholars. Are they distinct? Separate dimensions stacked atop each other, like some infernal cosmic pancake tower? Or are they merely different manifestations of the same infinite, chaotic whole? Like different facets of a shattered mirror? Some theories suggest that each layer is a fragmented reflection of a powerful demon lord's psyche, a tangible nightmare born from their twisted desires. This idea brings to mind the theories of Sigmund Freud, who delved into the deep, often dark, recesses of the human subconscious, suggesting that our hidden desires and traumas could manifest in our waking lives. Here, however, those manifestations aren't just dreams, they're entire realities, populated by horrors. You might wonder, how does one even asterisk get asterisk here? Well, that's a story for another time, perhaps involving a very bad decision, a very powerful spell. Or perhaps, for some poor souls, simply being born here. But once you arrive, you quickly learn that survival isn't about strength or cunning alone. It's about adaptability, about shedding your preconceived notions of reality, and frankly, about a healthy dose of pure, dumb luck. It is like being thrown into a mosh pit at a heavy metal concert, where the band is made of pure static and the crowd periodically dissolves into sentient goo. You don't just survive, you asterisk endure asterisk. The inhabitants of the abyss, the omnipresent forces of evil known as the Tanari, are perfectly suited to this environment. They are the personification of chaos and evil, beings of unfettered impulse and terrible power. Unlike the rigid, lawful devils of the nine hells, who operate with intricate contracts and hierarchical structures, the Tanari are individualistic, driven by base desires, endless ambition, and an insatiable hunger for destruction. They fight amongst themselves as often as they fight outsiders. Their endless blood war against the devils, merely a larger scale extension of their internal squabbles. It is a bit like watching a particularly brutal game of dodgeball played with actual boulders, and no rules, except for don't die immediately. You might see a hulking Bala, a fiery, winged demon of immense power, soaring through the turbulent skies, a whip of flame crackling in its hand, leaving a trail of pure desolation in its wake. Or perhaps a pack of rocks, grotesque vulture-like demons, screeching as they tear apart a fresh kill which could be anything from a lost traveler to another. Weaker demon. Their presence is just another layer of the sensory overload. Their guttural roars and piercing shrieks adding to the maddening symphony of the abyss. It's a constant reminder that you are not at the top of the food chain, or even in the middle. You are, quite simply, sustenance. This constant, internal warfare among the Tanari is a fascinating parallel to certain periods in human history. Think of the Warring States period in ancient China, where various factions battled for supremacy over centuries, driven by ambition and shifting alliances. Or the ceaseless feuds of feudal Japan, where samurai clans vied for land and power. The difference, of course, is that in the abyss, the war is eternal, fought by beings who cannot truly die, only disperse and reform. It's a never-ending cycle of destruction and rebirth. A terrifying perpetuation of conflict that makes even the longest human wars, like the 100 Years' War or the various Crusades, seem like brief skirmishes by comparison. The very air here feels wrong. It presses in on you, not just with its heat or the foul smells, but with a subtle mental pressure, a whisper that urges you to abandon reason, to embrace the madness. You might feel a sudden, irrational urge to throw yourself into a chasm or to scream at the top of your lungs for no reason, or perhaps a more insidious suggestion to simply let go. This isn't just psychological warfare. It's the very nature of the plane seeping into your soul. It's a bit like the concept of malaria in ancient times, where people believed bad air malaria caused illness. Here, the bad air causes bad sanity . As you trudge forward, or perhaps float, or inexplicably find yourself falling upwards, you notice the peculiar flora of the abyss. There are no gentle meadows here, no swaying trees. Instead, you might pass by thickets of razor-sharp crystal shards that vibrate with an internal hum, or grotesque, fleshy growths that pulse rhythmically, smelling faintly of decay. Perhaps you stumble upon a forest of petrified, screaming faces, their eyes still wide with horror, or a vast plain of obsidian glass that reflects a distorted version of your own terrified face. Every element of the landscape seems designed to instill dread and discomfort. A macabre art installation conceived by malevolent deities. Consider the history of human art and how it has often reflected our deepest fears and anxieties. From the terrifying gargoyles adorning medieval cathedrals, warding off evil spirits, to the unsettling works of Hieronymus Bosch, depicting the torments of hell, artists have given form to the monstrous. The Abyss takes this to an extreme, literally turning the landscape into a living, breathing canvas of torment. It's not just a backdrop, it's an active participant in your psychological breakdown. The journey through the Abyss is never straightforward. Paths appear and disappear. Distances stretch and compress. A journey that seemed to be a few miles might suddenly become an endless trek, or conversely, a destination you thought was days away might suddenly loom directly before you, a cruel joke played by the very fabric of reality. This is why navigation is nigh impossible, even for the most seasoned planar travelers. You can't rely on compasses, as magnetic north is a fleeting concept, if it exists at all. Starlight is unreliable. The only constant is inconsistency. It's similar, in a way, to ancient mariners navigating the vast, featureless oceans before the invention of reliable navigational tools. They relied on dead reckoning, on the stars, and on a deep intuitive understanding of the currents and winds. But imagine if the stars themselves shifted arbitrarily, if the currents suddenly reversed, and if the very water beneath your ship turned into solidified rock. That's the Absol experience. It makes the legend of the Bermuda Triangle seem like a perfectly predictable, well-marked tourist attraction. The very concept of time here is also malleable. Hours can feel like minutes, or minutes like centuries. You might feel a crushing sense of déjà vu, convinced you've seen this exact twisted peak or heard this exact infernal shriek before, only to realize that time itself is looping or fracturing around you. It's a place where the past, present, and future bleed into one another, making it impossible to establish a firm chronology. This chaotic temporal flow is a nightmare for any historian, let alone a traveler trying to make sense of their surroundings. Imagine trying to write a definitive account of ancient Rome if the events of the Republic suddenly started interspersing with the fall of the Empire, and Caesar kept popping up to argue with Marcus Aurelius. It is enough to make even the most dedicated academic simply throw their hands up in exasperation and declare an early retirement. And through it all, there's the pervasive, unsettling asterisk sound asterisk. Not just the screams of the demons or the crackle of lightning, but a deeper, more fundamental noise. It's the sound of reality tearing itself apart, stitch by stitch. It's the groan of collapsing mountains, the hiss of molten rivers, the wet thud of something unspeakable hitting the ground far below. Sometimes it's just a low, guttural murmur that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere, like the collective nightmares of a million tortured souls echoing through eternity. It's a lullaby of dread, designed to strip away your last vestiges of peace. You might find yourself humming along, unconsciously, to a tune that isn't quite a tune, a rhythm that shifts and changes, becoming more and more discordant. It's the Absol Symphony, and its conductor is chaos itself. The sheer cacophony is a weapon, eroding your sanity with every sustained note of terror. It's a bit like being trapped in a particularly avant-garde noise concert. Only the instruments are made of bone, and the performers are actively trying to consume your soul. It pushes the boundaries of what the human mind can endure. An auditory assault designed to leave you permanently unmoored. This is why prolonged exposure to the abyss often leads to madness, or worse, to the unfortunate transformation into one of its denizens. The very air you breathe is infused with chaotic evil, and without immense willpower or a powerful protective spell, you find your own thoughts and desires slowly twisting, becoming more selfish, more cruel, more aligned with the plane itself. It's a slow, insidious corruption, like a dye seeping into cloth, transforming its very essence. You start to see the beauty in destruction, the logic in madness, the compelling truth in absolute self-interest. It's a terrifying metamorphosis, a loss of self that is far worse than any physical torment. Some ancient texts, particularly those of certain Gnostic sects, spoke of the material world as a sort of prison, a flawed creation that trapped the divine spark. In a twisted, dark parallel, the abyss offers a kind of freedom from order, a release from the constraints of morality and reason, but at the cost of your very identity. You become just another ripple in the sea of chaos, another voice in the endless scream. Historians and theologians still debate the nature of ultimate evil. Is it a force external to humanity, or a potential inherent within us all? The abyss, in its terrifying splendor, argues for both, acting as a crucible where internal darkness is drawn out and amplified by an external, omnipresent force. As you push on, trying to maintain some semblance of direction, you notice the peculiar fauna of this plane. Beyond the monstrous demons, there are smaller, equally unsettling creatures, squirming multi-limbed aberrations that burrow through the ground, leaving trails of phosphorescent slime, winged insects with fangs that drip acid, or even seemingly harmless beautiful flowers that pulse, with an inner light only to dissolve into a swarm of stinging needles if you approach too closely. Every living thing here seems to be a grotesque parody of life, designed for predation or deception. It's a biological horror show, a twisted ecosystem where survival relies entirely on being more malevolent, or more adaptable than your neighbors. It's the ultimate Darwinian nightmare, where the fittest are also the most utterly depraved. You might even see echoes of your own world, distorted through the Absol lens. A grand, Gothic cathedral, seemingly untouched, only to realize that its stained glass windows depict scenes of unimaginable torment, and its pews are carved from the bones of supplicants. A bustling marketplace, full of bizarre vendors selling impossible wares, where the currency is fear and the transactions are sealed with screams. These brief, jarring glimpses of pseudo-familiarity are perhaps the most unsettling of all, reminding you of the world you left behind, now warped and twisted into a mocking reflection. It's like finding your childhood home, only it's now upside down and inhabited by sentient nightmares that sing terrible lullabies. This ability of the abyss to manifest corrupted versions of other planes or concepts is a fascinating aspect of its nature. It's not just destroying, it's asterisk perverting asterisk. It takes something familiar, something safe, and twists it into a mirror of its own chaotic evil. This mirrors, in a morbid way, how totalitarian regimes throughout history have co-opted symbols or ideas of freedom and twisted them to serve their oppressive ends. Think of how ancient Roman emperors used the language of libertas liberty even as they consolidated absolute power, or how various revolutionary movements have used patriotic imagery to justify atrocities. The Abyss does this on a cosmic scale, turning hope into despair, order into anarchy, and life into suffering. It is, in essence, the ultimate counterculture, the antithesis of everything that strives for peace and beauty. And yet, despite the overwhelming horror, there is a certain terrible beauty to the Abyss, a perverse grandeur in its scale and its complete disregard for convention. It's the beauty of a storm, a raging wildfire, or a supernova destructive, immense, and utterly beyond human control. It calls to something primal within, a shadow self that perhaps we all possess, a fleeting temptation to simply let go and embrace the madness, to surrender to the raw, untamed power that permeates every atom of this plane. It's the siren's call of ultimate freedom, where every rule is broken, every boundary dissolved. It's the ultimate expression of entropy, of things falling apart. But here, the falling apart is an active, malevolent process, a dance of destruction performed on an infinite stage. You find yourself wondering, as you navigate this impossible landscape, what purpose this plane serves. Is it a prison? A breeding ground, a cosmic garbage dump for shattered realities and discarded souls? Planar scholars have debated this for millennia. Some argue it's a necessary evil, a pressure valve for the universe's chaotic impulses, preventing them from tearing apart other, more stable planes. Others claim it's a festering wound that threatens to consume all of existence. And still others, the truly brave or truly mad, believe it's merely a reflection, a cosmic echo of the chaotic evil that resides within the hearts of all sentient beings, a mirror held up to the darkest parts of the soul. Whatever its purpose, you are in it now. And the journey has only just begun. You feel a strange, cold, tingling sensation at the back of your neck, like something is watching you, not with malice, but with a detached, ancient curiosity. The air grows heavier, and the scent of brimstone becomes almost unbearable, a metallic taste in your mouth. You look up, and the swirling, turbulent sky seems to press down on you, closer than before, threatening to engulf you whole. The ground beneath your feet buckles, and you realize, with a sinking feeling, that the path you were just on has simply ceased to exist. You are floating now, suspended in the nauseating void, as a new, terrifying vista slowly coalesces below you. A landscape of impossible geometry and unspeakable dread, beckoning you further into the infinite layers of the abyss. This is just the first drop into an ocean of chaos. You are floating now, suspended in the nauseating void, as a new, terrifying vista slowly coalesces below you, a landscape of impossible geometry and unspeakable dread, beckoning you further into the infinite layers of the abyss. This is just the first drop into an ocean of chaos. The descent is slow, agonizingly so, giving you ample time to take in the unfolding nightmare. It's not a plummet, but a sickening drift, as if you're caught in a slow-motion, cosmic centrifuge. Below, the new layer resolves itself, not as a chasm, but as a vast, impossible city, or what asterisk was asterisk a city, perhaps. Buildings writhe and coil, their spires twisting into grotesque knots, their foundations sinking into a sludge that bubbles with unholy light. It's as if an architect, high on something that defies medical classification, tried to recreate them. See Escher's relativity using only eldritch horrors and liquefied nightmares. Walls seem to fold inward on themselves, leading to corridors that loop back to where they started, or simply end abruptly in an endless drop. You see bridges that connect to nothing, staircases that climb eternally into a sky of bruised purple and sickly green, and structures that appear to be both inside and outside simultaneously, defying any conventional understanding of space. The air here, strangely, is cooler, thick with the scent of ozone and stale, ancient dust. Like a tomb that's been left open for 1,000,000 years, combined with an unsettling sweetness. Like decaying orchids, as your feet, or what feels like feet, finally touch down on a surface that grudgingly offers purchase. You realize the ground itself is not solid rock, but a shifting, gritty amalgam of pulverized bone and blackened, corroded metal. It crunches under your weight, a sound like 1,000 tiny insects being crushed simultaneously, and the texture sends shivers down your spine. The structures around you are not merely inanimate objects. They pulse with a faint, internal light, and you swear you can hear a low, rhythmic thrumming like a colossal, dying heart beating deep within the earth. It is the kind of place that makes your brain spontaneously generate error 404, reality not found messages, trying desperately to reconcile what your eyes see with what your mind knows to be impossible. Architects throughout history, from the master builders of the Gothic cathedrals to the pioneering modernists, like Frank Lloyd Wright, sought to impose order and beauty on their creations. Here, every principle of design, every law of physics, has been gleefully discarded and then probably eaten. You try to pick a direction, any direction, but the very act of choosing feels pointless. Roads, if you can call them that, twist away into the shifting haze, sometimes rising sharply into the perpetually stormy sky, sometimes plunging into yawning abysses that glow with a malevolent, internal light. You catch glimpses of other, smaller figures in the distance, skittering amongst the impossible architecture. They move with jerky, unnatural motions, indistinct at this range, but unmistakably not human. They are perfectly suited to this landscape of madness, perhaps even born from it. Their forms as contorted and illogical as the city itself. This endless labyrinth of geometric impossibilities makes even the most notoriously convoluted historical mazes like the Cretan labyrinth of Minos, designed by Daedalus to imprison the Minotaur seem like a simple garden path by comparison. At least in the Cretan labyrinth, there was asterisk way out, even if you needed a thread and some pluck. Here, the threads are tangled, burned, and occasionally try to strangle you. The sky above continues its light show of horror, but here it's more muted. The lightning flashes less frequent, replaced by a constant, low growl that echoes through the warped canyons of the city. It's the sound of immense structures shifting, groaning under their own impossible weight. A symphony of decay played on a truly grand scale. Every so often, a section of a building, or perhaps an entire street, will simply collapse into dust with a sound like shattering glass and grinding teeth, only for new. equally nonsensical forms to slowly extrude from the ground nearby, like monstrous, organic sculptures. This constant flux isn't random. It feels deliberate, almost malicious, as if the plane itself is a living, breathing entity, perpetually rearranging its own organs. Some planar scholars suggest these cities are not built, but grown by the abyss itself, or are perhaps the crystallized thoughts of a demon prince, whose very mind is a maelstrom of architectural nightmares. Imagine trying to get planning permission in this place. Yes, Mr. Demon Lord, your proposed tower appears to defy all known laws of structural integrity. And it's also sentient and wants to eat its neighbors. Approved. As you navigate this architectural fever dream, you notice the peculiar flora of this particular layer. Instead of plants, you see strange, crystalline growths that resemble shattered stained glass windows, humming with a dissonant chord. Or perhaps what look like vast, petrified organs, a gigantic stone liver here, a calcified heart there, embedded in the walls, occasionally dripping a viscous, iridescent fluid that hisses as it hits the ground. Some of these structures even appear to breathe, with slow, ponderous expansions and contractions that send tremors through the ground. It's a reminder that even in this mechanical, architectural horror, the organic, the living or unliving, is never far away. The blend of the geometric and the grotesque is a hallmark of this realm, a deliberate unsettling of any sense of natural order. It makes the fantastical gardens of the mythical Hesperides, filled with golden apples, seem utterly mundane. Here, if there are apples, they're probably made of teeth and scream when picked. You might stumble across open plazas that are less public squares, and more swirling vortices of light and shadow, where lost souls, perhaps the unfortunate remnants of mortals who wandered too far, are caught in eternal, silent dances of agony. Their spectral forms writhe and twist, forever locked in a pantomime of suffering, their silent screams echoing only in your mind. They are the ultimate victims of the abyss's psychological warfare, their minds having long since fractured into a million pieces, leaving behind only the rawest essence of their torment. It's a cruel, endless ballet, a cosmic mosh pit of despair. This silent suffering is perhaps more unsettling than the loudest roars of demons, a chilling testament to the plane's ability to break the spirit without laying a single claw upon the body. It reminds one of the suffering depicted in Dante's Inferno where souls are condemned to punishments that fit their sins. But here the sin is merely having existed, and the punishment is perpetual, inescapable psychological torture, often without the catharsis of a defined ending. The inhabitants, when you finally spot them clearly, are often grotesque parodies of sentient life. Some are small, scuttling things, like crabs made of razor wire and shadow, with too many eyes and chittering mandibles. Others are larger, hulking figures that move with a deliberate, almost mournful gait, their bodies covered in shifting plates of rusted metal or flayed flesh. They seem to ignore you, lost in their own bizarre objectives, or perhaps their absolute senses simply register you as another fleeting anomaly in a realm of constant anomaly. You might see a lone, gaunt demon, its skin stretched taut over an impossible skeleton, meticulously stacking cubes of solidified screams, only for the stack to collapse and reform into something else entirely. Their existence here is as nonsensical and chaotic as the plane itself, driven by impulses that defy mortal logic. It's like watching a particularly disturbing episode of a nature documentary, where every creature is actively trying to rewrite the laws of thermodynamics, just to inconvenience its prey. This particular layer, some theorize, might be the fragmented domain of a lesser-known demon lord, one whose power is more insidious, focused on mental decay and spatial disorientation rather than brute force. They are the cartographers of chaos, the architects of madness, constantly reshaping their realm as a reflection of their own fractured psyche. Or perhaps, and this is a more disturbing thought, this layer is merely a natural byproduct of the abyss's inherent instability, a cosmic junk drawer for all the discarded, impossible geometries that the plane spontaneously generates. It would be a bit like discovering that the entire city of London was just a byproduct of a cosmic sneeze. Fascinating, but utterly terrifying for anyone trying to navigate its tube system. Imagine trying to explain this to a classically trained philosopher like Plato, who sought perfect, unchanging forms. He'd probably just sigh, shake his head, and lament the utter lack of ideal geometric shapes. As you are pulled closer, the details become terrifyingly specific. You see faces, not carved, but asterisk-grown asterisk into the very walls, their expressions frozen in silent, eternal agony. Some are human, some elven, some utterly alien, but all share this same universal despair. Their eyes, wide and hollow, seem to follow you as you approach, not with malice, but with a plea, or perhaps a warning, that their vocal cords can no longer utter. These are the souls, or at least the raw echoes of them, that the structure has consumed, their torment forever etched into its very fabric. It's a permanent gallery of despair, a macabre reminder of every poor soul who dared to enter or was forced into this particular hell. Historians like Foucault wrote about the panopticon, a prison where inmates constantly feel observed. Here, you are observed by a million screaming eyes that asterisk are asterisk the prison itself. You pass beneath an archway, not of stone, but of solidified, blackened intestines, slick with a glistening, viscous residue. The air grows warmer here, humid, and the metallic smell is almost overpowering, now distinctly mixed with the cloying sweetness of rot, like a butcher shop left to fester in the sun for a millennium. The asterisk thump dash thump asterisk of the colossal heart thing echoes through the narrow, twisting passages you are funneled into, vibrating through the very soles of your feet. These passages are barely wide enough to accommodate you, and the walls press in, pulsating softly, as if breathing. You feel an oppressive weight, a physical pressure that makes your lungs ache and your head pound, not from exertion, but from the sheer malevolence of the air itself, thick with the concentrated essence of chaotic evil. Within this monstrous edifice, the concept of layers takes on a new, more intimate meaning. It's not just planes stacked atop one another. It's realms nested within realms, like a set of infernal Matryoshka dolls. Each twisting corridor, each impossibly angled chamber, feels like its own contained dimension of torment, reflecting some specialized form of absol suffering. One moment you might be trudging through a river of congealed blood that feels strangely warm and syrupy. The next you are traversing a plain of razor-sharp glass shards, reflecting endless, distorted versions of yourself, each one screaming. Then, without warning, you might find yourself in a chamber where gravity constantly reverses, sending you tumbling from floor to ceiling, only for both to suddenly become walls, leaving you suspended in a vertigo-inducing void. It's the ultimate deconstruction of Newtonian physics, performed by an entity that finds your quaint laws of motion utterly hilarious. The creatures here are different, too. Fewer of the common Tanari, more aberrations and things that defy classification. You see spindly, multi-limbed horrors skittering along the walls, their chitinous bodies clicking against the fleshy architecture, their dozens of eyes glinting with hungry intelligence. There are things that are mere shadows, given form, that flow like water through cracks in the walls, whispering insidious suggestions that you abandon all hope, all reason. And occasionally, something truly vast will shift in the deeper darkness. A colossal tentacle retracting into an unseen maw, or a single, titanic eye opening and closing slowly, casting the entire cavern in a sickly, jaundiced light. It makes the cryptids of Earth, like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, seem as tame as your garden variety squirrel. Here, the monsters aren't hiding. They asterisk the landscape. You also catch glimpses of something far more unsettling than mere monsters. The unfortunate inhabitants, or perhaps captives of this living structure. They are not demons, but mortals, or what's left of them. Some are strapped to pulsating walls, their bodies slowly dissolving into the very fabric of the building, their faces contorted in silent screams. Others are caught in loops of repetitive, meaningless tasks, stacking bones that immediately crumble, writing endless, gibberish scrolls, or meticulously arranging shards of broken glass into patterns that spontaneously rearrange themselves. Their eyes are glazed over, empty, their minds long since shattered by the perpetual torment and the plane's insidious influence. It's a tragic, horrifying display of what becomes of those who succumb to the abyss's pressure. Stripped of their identity and reduced to mere instruments of its perverse existence. This makes the most cruel psychological experiments of history, like the Stanford prison experiment or Milgram's obedience studies, seem like quaint tea parties. Here, the experiment is eternal, and the goal is complete mental annihilation. The mental assault escalates significantly within this monstrosity. The whispers are no longer subtle suggestions. They are direct, intrusive thoughts, planting seeds of doubt, fear, and despair directly into your consciousness. You might hear the voices of loved ones, warped and distorted, accusing you of terrible sins, or the echo of your own deepest fears, amplified and thrown back at you. Your memories become unreliable, twisting familiar scenes into nightmares, making you question every choice you've ever made. Your perception of self begins to fray at the edges, and you might feel a terrifying sensation that you are dissolving, that your very essence is being pulled apart and absorbed into the consuming whole. It's the ultimate form of psychological torture, designed to break you down into a raw, malleable state, ready to be reformed into whatever new horror the abyss desires. This is why certain ancient monastic traditions emphasized strict mental discipline. They understood the fragility of the mind in the face of overwhelming, chaotic stimuli. Here, That stimuli is everywhere, all the time. As you navigate deeper, the pathways grow even more nonsensical. You might find yourself walking on a ceiling that then abruptly becomes a floor, only to realize the entire structure has rotated around you. Distances are meaningless. A corridor that stretches for miles might suddenly compress into a few feet, or a small chamber might expand into a vast, echoing cavern. There are no consistent up or down, no reliable left or right. Your internal compass, if you still possess one, spins wildly, uselessly. The very concept of orientation becomes a cruel joke. It is like trying to find your way through a funhouse where the floor is made of quantum foam, and the walls are having an existential crisis. Your brain, desperate for order, tries to impose patterns to find logic, but the abyss simply laughs, a soundless, terrifying laugh that vibrates through the very ground. And then, just as you feel you might finally succumb, you are pushed, or perhaps gently deposited, into a vast, cavernous space that throbs with an unholy light. This is the very heart of the consuming structure, a space that seems to defy spatial dimensions entirely. It's both immense and claustrophobic, stretching into infinity yet pressing in on you from all sides. The floor is not solid, but a turbulent sea of churning, iridescent ichor, bubbling with captured souls, their forms indistinct, their silent screams echoing in your mind. Above, colossal, fleshy pipes, veins and arteries of the living city pump streams of what looks like molten shadow and raw despair, feeding into a central, pulsating core. This core is the true horror. It's a vast, spherical organ, glistening and slick, its surface covered in countless orifices, each one sucking in streams of the surrounding ichor and raw reality. It beats with the asterisk thump 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 asterisk you've been hearing, but here it's deafening, shaking your very bones. You realize, with a sickening lurch in your stomach, that this sphere is not just absorbing the plane, it's asterisk birthing asterisk something. From its surface, partially formed, larval demons are extruding, slimy and grotesque, their forms still shifting and coalescing before they drop into the sea of ichor below, to begin their chaotic existence. This is the abyss's womb, its perverse creative engine, a place of constant, horrifying genesis. It makes the creation myths of any sane culture, from the peaceful emergence of the world from the primordial waters to the forging of man from clay, seem utterly quaint and naive. This is creation through pure, unfiltered chaotic evil, a birthing process that consumes to produce. The air here is thick with a new, utterly vile stench. The smell of fresh, raw demonic flesh mixed with ozone and something cloyingly sweet. Like 1,000 roses left to rot in a stagnant swamp, a scent of corruption and unholy birth. The light, emanating from the pulsating core, is a bruised purple, flickering with internal lightning, casting long, writhing shadows that seem to dance with malevolent glee. The heat is intense, oppressive, like standing at the mouth of an active volcano, but a volcano that also smells of death and unholy gestation. In the center of this terrifying birthing chamber, you see it. Not a demon lord in the traditional sense, but a form so vast, so amorphous, that it barely registers as an individual entity. It is a shifting, liquid mass of shadow and raw energy, constantly expanding and contracting, its form never stable for more than a heartbeat. Tentacles of pure darkness occasionally lash out from its periphery, snagging larval demons or even larger, fully formed ones, and drawing them into its shifting mass, only for new ones to be extruded moments later. This is the Absol progenitor, the source of this layer's terrifying existence. Or perhaps a manifestation of the layer itself, a being of pure, unadulterated chaotic creation and consumption. It is a cosmic Ouroboros, perpetually devouring and birthing itself. Planar scholars, in their quiet, sane libraries far from this madness, sometimes debate the very identity of the demon lords. Are they truly unique, individual entities? Or are some merely particularly powerful manifestations of the abyss itself? Given temporary form and terrifying will, this entity before you seems to argue for the latter. It is less a personality and more a cosmic process, a horrific engine of the plane's ceaseless, self-devouring evolution. It makes the philosophical debates about free will versus determinism seem utterly irrelevant. Here, there is only the will of the abyss, constantly reshaping everything in its image, including its own inhabitants. It's the ultimate embodiment of raw, untamed, destructive power, completely indifferent to anything resembling conventional life. You feel a growing pull, a sickening suction sensation, as if the massive, birthing core is trying to draw you into its depths. The whispers in your mind intensify to a cacophony, urging you to surrender, to become part of the endless cycle of consumption and genesis. Your own thoughts begin to fray, the structure of your identity feeling tenuous, like a threadbare rope straining under an impossible weight. You realize that to resist this pull, to maintain any semblance of your former self, would require an act of monumental, desperate willpower, a defiance that goes against the very fabric of this plane. It's like trying to hold your breath at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Except the water is also sentient and wants to absorb your soul. Just as the pressure becomes almost unbearable, a new tremor shakes the cavern, not from the birthing core, but from somewhere above a sound deep and resonant, like 1,000 cathedral bells shattering simultaneously, echoes through the chamber, momentarily cutting through the monstrous heartbeat and the whispers. The iridescent ichor on the floor churns more violently, and the newly extruded larval demons squirm and writhe, as if in pain or confusion. The massive, amorphous progenitor itself seems to pause, its pulsations faltering for a beat, its shifting form momentarily still. You look up, or what feels like up in this disorienting space, high above, where the colossal, fleshy pipes converge. A crack appears, not a structural crack, but a tear in reality itself, shimmering with an unfamiliar, cold light. It expands rapidly, silently, defying the normal physics of expansion, as if it's being peeled open by an unseen hand. Through the widening fissure, you catch a glimpse of something utterly alien, even for the abyss. It's not another layer of the plane, not a new horror, but a fleeting, impossible vista of pure, crystalline order, stark and cold against the tumultuous chaos. It's a glimpse of another reality, a place of stark, rigid logic, a universe of absolute, unyielding structure. It lasts only a blink, A flash of something so utterly antithetical to the abyss that it feels like a physical shock. Like touching pure ice after being submerged in molten lead. The tear snaps shut with a soundless implosion, leaving behind only a faint, shimmering afterimage. A ghostly echo of what shouldn't be. But the silence, brief as it was, has shattered the rhythm of the birthing chamber. The monstrous progenitor begins to pulsate again, but with a new, frantic energy, its consumption accelerating, its terrible roar echoing with a fresh, desperate hunger. The abyss, it seems, has noticed the intrusion, and now you are trapped not just in its consuming heart, but in a realm that has been *interrupted*. The journey is far from over. In fact, it just got a whole lot more complicated. And honestly, isn't that just typical? You survive cosmic horrors and existential dread, only for reality itself to throw a wrench in the works. Maybe this is just the universe's way of keeping things interesting. Or maybe it's just the abyss showing off. Either way, you're still here, and it's still hungry. Either way, you're still here, and it's still hungry. The monstrous progenitor, that vast, pulsating heart of the consuming city, certainly seems hungrier now. Its frantic energy is palpable, a sickening wave of accelerated consumption that washes over you. The *thump thump asterisk intensifies to a frantic, rattling drumbeat, shaking your very teeth in your skull. The massive, fleshy pipes above gush streams of molten shadow and raw despair with renewed vigor, feeding the colossal organ below. You can practically hear the collective groan of the layer as it's pulled apart faster, digested more violently by this insatiable entity. It is like watching a particularly aggressive cosmic amoeba decide it. It's time for a second breakfast, and *U* might just be on the menu. That fleeting glimpse of crystalline order, that impossible vista of stark, rigid logic, seems to have truly irritated this living engine of chaos. It was, for a fraction of a second, the ultimate antithesis, like a whisper of pure silence in a symphony of screams. Historians of planar theory often refer to such phenomena as planar breaches, or cosmic intrusions, moments when the fundamental fabric of reality momentarily frays, allowing a glimpse or even a passage to a truly alien dimension. The most common theory is that it was a momentary tear to Mechanus, the clockwork plane of absolute law and perfect order, home to the lawful neutral modrons. Imagine the purest, most pristine Euclidean geometry made manifest, where every gear turns in perfect synchronicity, every calculation is flawless, every action predetermined by an unfathomable logic. It's the ultimate filing cabinet of the multiverse, meticulously catalogued, indexed, and probably color-coded by an infinitely precise bureaucracy. Contrast that with the abyss, which makes a Jackson Pollock painting look like a perfectly organized spreadsheet. The very asterisk idea, asterisk of Mechanus, would be anathema here, a cosmic irritant, like a grain of sand in the eye of a monstrous, chaotic god. You can almost feel the progenitor asterisk recoiling asterisk from the memory of that order. Its accelerated consumption a desperate attempt to reassert its own chaotic nature, to drown out the lingering echoes of structure and predictability. It is a bit like a free-spirited artist, suddenly being forced to calculate the precise angle of a perfect right triangle. It's an insult to their very being, and they'll probably react by smashing something. or, in this case, by trying to absorb everything faster. The sickening suction sensation, that growing pull towards the vast, birthing core, becomes almost irresistible. You feel your identity, that delicate construct of memories and experiences, stretching thin, like taffy being pulled apart. The whispers in your mind are no longer just suggestions. They are a direct command, an overwhelming chorus demanding that you join them, that you become another nutrient in the Absol womb, another screaming face on its pulsating walls. It's the ultimate spiritual capitulation, the absolute surrender of self. And for a terrifying moment, a part of you feels the lure, the perverse peace of simply letting go, of dissolving into the infinite chaos. It would be an end to all the struggle, all the fear, all the inconvenient rules of reality. A very tempting offer. If your concept of peace involved becoming raw material for an interdimensional monster, but then, just as your consciousness begins to fray at the edges, the frantic pulsations of the progenitor become erratic. The asterisk thump dash thump asterisk stutters, skips a beat, then resumes with a jarring, unpredictable rhythm, like a heart having an arrhythmia. The strings of ichor and despair gush from the fleshy pipes in uncontrolled bursts. Splashing wildly, the entire cavern shudders, not with the controlled tremor of consumption, but with a violent, spastic convulsion. It's as if the brief, agonizing intrusion of order has thrown the whole system into a critical error, a cosmic blue screen of death for a sentient plane, with a final, gargantuan asterisk heave asterisk. The monstrous birthing core lurches, its surface rippling like a disturbed pool of oil. A vast, wet, explosive sound like 1,000,000 gallons of raw sewage being violently expelled from an impossibly large pipe erupts from one of its orifices. You are not absorbed. You are asterisk ejected asterisk, launched violently backward by a blast of hot, foul-smelling air. You tumble end over end, away from the pulsating heart, away from the churning ichor. The cacophony of the chamber recedes rapidly as you are propelled through the twisting, collapsing passages of the structure. It's less an escape and more a rejection, as if the abyss itself, in its moment of agitated processing, decided you were an indigestible anomaly and just coughed you out. You might feel a tiny, perverse sense of accomplishment. You were too weird even for the abyss, quickly overshadowed by the terror of your uncontrolled flight. The passage you're hurtling through is rapidly shifting, collapsing behind you, forming new, impossible geometries ahead. Walls become ceilings, floors become abysses, and the constant motion makes any attempt to orient yourself utterly futile. The air is thick with dust and the metallic tang of tearing reality, interspersed with the acrid scent of ozone and something akin to burnt hair. You catch fleeting glimpses of other unfortunate souls caught in the living structure, their faces still etched with silent agony. But now they seem to be dissolving faster, becoming more transparent, absorbed into the accelerated consumption of the entity. The cosmic upset has clearly had immediate, horrifying consequences for everyone involved. Just when you think you'll be crushed, impaled on a rising spire of bone, or dropped into an unseen void, you are suddenly, violently, deposited asterisk. You hit a surface that is surprisingly flat dot and cold dot and hard. You lie there for a moment, disoriented, the ringing in your ears slowly subsiding, the fountain taste of sulfur lingering on your tongue. As your vision clears, you push yourself up, bracing for another landscape of twisted flesh architecture. But this is different. Utterly, fundamentally different. You are in a vast, sprawling cavern, so immense that the distant ceiling is lost in an endless, echoing darkness. The floor beneath you is not bone and grit, but a vast, undulating expanse of obsidian-smooth ice, shimmering with faint, internal blue and green light. The air here is frigid, piercingly cold, making your breath mist before your face. The scent of ozone is still present, but now it's clean, sharp, mixed with the crisp, almost sterile aroma of pure, cold water and something metallic, like freshly quenched steel. No brimstone, no decay, just this profound, biting chill. It's the kind of cold that doesn't just lower your body temperature, but seems to chill your very soul. You might even find yourself instinctively shivering, despite the fact that you're probably just a consciousness inhabiting this nightmare. Above, the cavern ceiling drips, not with ichor, but with colossal icicles, each one the size of a redwood tree, glowing with that same eerie blue light. They descend precariously, some snapping off with an echoing asterisk crack asterisk that sounds like a glacier calving, sending massive chunks of ice shattering onto the floor far below. The sound reverberates endlessly, a hollow, lonely sound that contrasts sharply with the earlier symphony of screams. This place is not screaming. It's asterisk groaning asterisk under the weight of its own frozen immensity. This, you realize, is another layer, but one utterly different from the last. It's a layer of cold, of ice, of crystalline, bitter despair. It's the embodiment of a different kind of chaotic evil. Not the fiery, consuming madness, but the slow, agonizing, soul-numbing desolation. Historians might call this the absolute equivalent of a dark age, where the vibrant, destructive chaos of earlier periods gives way to a long, grinding period of stagnation and suffering. Like the slow, inexorable creep of a 1,000-year glacier. As you look around, you see that the landscape is dominated by immense, jagged mountains of black ice, their peaks piercing the distant darkness. Between them are frozen rivers, their surfaces slick and treacherous, reflecting the dim, ethereal light from the icicles above. In the distance, you can discern what appear to be structures, but they are not growing or collapsing. They are frozen solid, immense fortresses of black ice, their walls studded with what might be embedded, frozen bodies, perfectly preserved in poses of final agony. It's a macabre art gallery, a chilling testament to the layer's profound, unending despair. The silence here is almost as oppressive as the noise of the previous layer. It's not absolute silence, but a vast, echoing quiet, broken only by the distant cracks of ice, the whisper of unseen winds, and the occasional, mournful howl that seems to carry on the freezing air. It sounds like the lament of forgotten spirits, or perhaps the endless sorrow of creatures trapped within the ice. It's a sound that makes you want to curl up into a ball and disappear, a pure, unadulterated symphony of loneliness. It's the kind of quiet that lets you hear the ringing in your own ears and every unsettling thought in your own head. Movement here is difficult. The slick ice offers little purchase, and the bitter cold seeps into whatever form you currently inhabit, making your limbs ache, your movements sluggish. You might find yourself sliding unexpectedly, careening towards a chasm, only to narrowly avoid falling into its shadowy depths. Or perhaps the very ice beneath your feet cracks and shifts, threatening to plunge you into the black, frigid waters that churn silently beneath. It's a relentless, subtle assault on your physical being, wearing you down with constant, minor threats, rather than immediate, overwhelming ones. It's the ultimate endurance test, like trying to cross a frozen lake in a blizzard while wearing ice skates that are slowly melting. The fauna of this layer are equally unsettling. You see grotesque, chitinous insectoids, massive and spidery, scuttling across the ice, their claws leaving trails of shattered frost. They are perfectly adapted to the cold, their forms often translucent, revealing the dark, beating organs within. There are also immense, lumbering beasts, like frozen mammoths made of shadow and ice, that move slowly but inexorably, their breath freezing the very air around them. And occasionally, you might spot something far more ethereal, ghostly figures, translucent and shimmering, drifting through the air, their faces frozen in expressions of profound sorrow, their silent wails carrying on the chilling winds. These aren't demons. They're the residual echoes of those who succumbed to the cold. Their despair so immense it solidified into a permanent presence on the layer. The mental pressure here is also different. Less about active gaslighting, more about the slow erosion of hope. It's a pervasive, insidious suggestion that everything is pointless, that resistance is futile, that all striving leads only to greater suffering. It encourages apathy, resignation, a chilling sense of despair that gnaws at your resolve. You might feel a profound sense of exhaustion, an urge to simply lie down on the ice and let the cold consume you, to become another frozen, silent monument to hopelessness. It's a bit like the psychological effects of extreme isolation or prolonged exposure to monotonous, unchanging environments, where the mind gradually loses its vitality and becomes receptive to negative, self-destructive thoughts. Philosophers like Albert Camus wrote about the absurdity of existence. But here, the absurdity isn't just a concept. It's the very air you breathe, stripping away all meaning. You might even see echoes of your own world, frozen and distorted, in the ice, a petrified shipwreck, its mast jutting from a glacial cliff, perfectly preserved down to the rope fibers, but its hull made of screaming faces. Or a frozen forest of what looks like ancient, snow-covered trees, their branches laden with crystal fruit that, upon closer inspection, are perfectly formed human eyes, still staring outwards with frozen terror. These are not merely reflections. They are physical manifestations, captured from other realities, twisted by the abyss's cold despair and immortalized in ice. It's a morbid museum, a collection of frozen nightmares, each one a testament to the plane's ability to corrupt and preserve simultaneously. The intrusion from the order plane seems to have reverberated even here, though in a subtle way. The silence, for one, feels more fragile, and the cold, while absolute, has a strange, almost frantic edge to it now, as if the layer itself is shivering, trying to shake off an unwanted sensation. The howling winds seem to carry an unusual edge, a sharper, more cutting whine, like a stressed animal, It is as if the brief shock to the system has unsettled the inherent lethargy of this icy realm, giving its despair a new, agitated energy. As you stumble across the slick ice, trying to find your bearings, a new, more immediate threat emerges from the swirling mists. Not a demon, but *force*. The air before you begins to shimmer, distort, and then coalesce into a swirling vortex of freezing wind and razor-sharp ice shards. It grows rapidly, the hum intensifying, the temperature plummeting even further. This isn't just a natural phenomenon. It's a sentient entity, a manifestation of the layer's malevolent cold, seeking to consume and freeze any warmth, any life that dares to intrude upon its domain. It's the kind of thing that makes you regret not wearing thicker socks, or perhaps any socks at all, given your current ethereal form. This is a Cryonax, a powerful elemental lord of cold and ice, or at least a lesser scion of such a being, given terrible form by the abyss. It swirls towards you with an impossible speed, its core glowing with an inner, malevolent blue light, and from within its depths, you hear a sound like 1,000 souls screaming in unison. Not in pain, but in bitter, unending despair. It's the sound of the ultimate winter, the cold death that consumes all. It is utterly indifferent to you as an individual, seeing you only as a pocket of warmth, a source of energy to be snuffed out and added to its frozen collection. It makes the blizzards of the Himalayas or the freezing winds of Antarctica seem like a pleasant breeze on a summer day. You have no time to think, no time to plan. The very air around you is turning to brittle shards of ice, stinging your exposed form. The cold is no longer just uncomfortable. It's an active, gnawing pain that seeks to slow your movements, to turn your very blood into slush. This is not the grand, psychological torment of the last layer. This is raw, elemental destruction, a force of nature twisted by the abyss into a weapon of absolute desolation. You are faced with the immediate, visceral threat of being frozen solid, shattering into a million pieces, and becoming just another petrified scream embedded in the walls of this desolate realm. Your survival instinct, that primal urge to persist against all odds, flares up despite the encroaching apathy. You have to move. You have to find shelter. But where do you go in a landscape of endless ice and frozen despair? Every direction seems to offer only deeper cold, more impenetrable blizzards, more frozen horrors. The echoes of the other plane's brief intrusion are a distant memory now, overshadowed by the immediate, overwhelming reality of the frozen death swirling directly towards you. It's a bit like being caught between a rock and a hard place if the rock was a sentient, soul-devouring earthquake, and the hard place was an infinitely expanding sub-zero black hole that wants to turn you into a really disturbing ice cube. And honestly, you're starting to miss the good old days of just being psychologically gaslighted by a city. At least that was warm. You have no time to think, no time to plan. The very air around you is turning to brittle shards of ice, stinging your exposed form. The cold is no longer just uncomfortable. It's an active, gnawing pain that seeks to slow your movements, to turn your very blood into slush. This is not the grand, psychological torment of the last layer. This is raw, elemental destruction. A force of nature twisted by the abyss into a weapon of absolute desolation. You are faced with the immediate, visceral threat of being frozen solid, shattering into a million pieces, and becoming just another petrified scream embedded in the walls of this desolate realm. Your survival instinct, that primal urge to persist against all odds, flares up despite the encroaching apathy. You have to move. You have to find shelter. But where do you go in a landscape of endless ice and frozen despair? Every direction seems to offer only deeper cold, more impenetrable blizzards, more frozen horrors. The echoes of the other plane's brief intrusion are a distant memory now, overshadowed by the immediate, overwhelming reality of the frozen death swirling directly towards you. It's a bit like being caught between a rock and a hard place. If the rock was a sentient, soul-devouring earthquake, and the hard place was an infinitely expanding, sub-zero black hole that wants to turn you into a really disturbing ice cube. And honestly, you're starting to miss the good old days of just being psychologically gaslighted by a city. At least that was warm. The Cryonax, that swirling vortex of freezing wind and razor-sharp ice shards, isn't just approaching, it's asterisk accelerating asterisk. It moves with a terrifying, impossible grace across the slick obsidian ice, leaving a trail of even deeper frost in its wake, the air behind it crackling with the deathly chill. The hum from its core intensifies, growing into a high-pitched whine that scrapes against your eardrums. A sound like 1,000 cryogenic freezers all failing at once. You can feel the moisture being sucked from your skin, the very air around you thinning, turning brittle. It's a literal freeze-frame moment, except the freezing is happening asterisk to you asterisk. And it's anything but still. You try to push yourself up, to gain purchase on the glass-smooth ice, but your limbs feel heavy, sluggish, as if encased in lead. The fear, though, provides a jolt, a burst of adrenaline that cuts through the encroaching torpor. You scramble, hands scraping against the unforgiving surface, and find yourself sliding more than walking. Your mind races, desperately searching for an escape. A crevice, asterisk anything asterisk. The sheer, exposed vastness of this layer offers no obvious refuge. It's designed for the cold, designed to strip away anything that might offer shelter or warmth. It makes the desolate landscapes of the North Pole, where early explorers like Peary or Ormondson faced insurmountable odds and crushing loneliness, seem positively hospitable. At least they had sled dogs and warm tea. You've got the grim satisfaction of knowing you're about to become a very unique form of ice sculpture. Your eyes dart around, frantically searching. To your left, a sheer cliff face of black ice rises, impossibly smooth and high, reflecting your terrified visage like a distorting funhouse mirror. To your right, the vast, undulating expanse of the frozen lake stretches into the echoing darkness. In front of you, the Cryonax is a rapidly growing, shrieking maelstrom. And behind you is the direction you just came from, leading deeper into the icy wilderness. Not ideal, but wait. Something asterisk else asterisk catches your eye. Something barely visible through the swirling mist and the encroaching blizzard, generated by the Cryonax. It's a faint, flickering light, a soft, almost imperceptible glow emanating from a distant point on the black ice lake. It's too faint to be a structure, too steady to be a transient phenomenon. It's a beacon or a trap. In the abyss, It's usually the latter, but desperate times call for desperate and probably disastrous measures. The Cryonax is closing in fast, its internal screams growing louder, more distinct, each one a testament to utter, unending despair. You make a choice, a desperate gamble, and push yourself towards the faint light. Sliding awkwardly across the treacherous ice, your breath coming in ragged, painful gasps. The journey across the ice is an exercise in pure, unadulterated futility. Every step is a fight for balance, every slide a near fall. The wind whipped up by the Cryonax is now a gale, tearing at your form, laden with tiny, razor-sharp ice particles that abrade your skin like 1,000 microscopic knives. You feel the beginnings of frostbite, a burning numbness that quickly gives way to a deeper, more insidious cold creeping into your bones. The whispers, the quiet despair of this layer, are no longer whispers. They are a dull, monotonous chant urging you to give up, to simply lie down and let the cold embrace you, to become one with the frozen waste. It's the ultimate psychological weapon of entropy, convincing you that resistance is a waste of energy and ultimate stillness is the only true peace. It makes the stoicism of ancient philosophers who sought peace through acceptance seem like a walk in the park. Here, acceptance means becoming a very cold, very dead ice cube. The faint light ahead, however, refuses to extinguish. It pulses steadily, a tiny spark of something, anything, in this realm of absolute desolation. As you get closer, you realize it's not just one light, but many, rayed in a vague pattern. And then you see it, a structure barely discernible through the blizzard, rising from the heart of the frozen lake. It's not a fortress, not a city. It's something organic. It's an immense, skeletal hand, made entirely of glistening black ice, clawing its way out of the frozen depths. Each finger is a colossal spire, tipped with razor-sharp talons that pierce the frigid air. The knuckles are massive, bulbous joints, glowing faintly with that internal blue-green light, as if they hold trapped souls. And it's from between the digits of this frozen, monstrous hand that the lights are emanating. They are not warm lights, but cold, phosphorescent glows, revealing outlines of grotesque, frozen figures trapped within the ice of the hand itself, their faces contorted in silent, eternal anguish. This is a mausoleum, a monument not to death, but to perpetual, agonizing preservation. It's like finding a giant, frozen, macabre version of the Colossus of Rhodes, only it's a hand. And it's made of the petrified despair of 1,000 tortured souls. The Cryonax is almost upon you now, its keening wail of physical force. You can feel the intense, focused cold radiating from it. An absolute zero that threatens to shatter your very molecular structure. There's no way around it, no way to outrun it. Your only chance is asterisk through asterisk the skeletal hand into whatever warped sanctuary it might offer. You make a final, desperate lunge, sliding through the gap between the colossal, frozen fingers, propelled by the last vestiges of your survival instinct. You tumble into a vast, echoing chamber within the hand itself. The light here is dim, a ghostly luminescence emanating from the ice walls, which are studded with countless frozen bodies, perfect sculptures of eternal torment. Their eyes, wide and hollow, seem to track you. Their silent screams a mental cacophony that adds another layer to the psychological assault. The air is still bone-numbingly cold, but mercifully, the howling wind of the Cryonax is muted here, echoing outside the immense ice walls. You can still hear its furious wail, frustrated at its thwarted prey, as it circles the immense frozen hand, its presence a constant, chilling reminder of the elemental death you narrowly escaped. It's a bit like hiding in a freezer, while a very angry, sentient blizzard circles outside, trying to figure out how to open the door and turn you into a human ice sculpture. This chamber, you realize, is not empty. There are other figures here, not frozen, but moving. They are small, hunched creatures, their bodies covered in thick, dark fur that seems to absorb all light, their faces obscured by deep hoods. They move silently, almost reverently, amongst the frozen bodies, occasionally stopping to touch a hand or a face, a gesture that seems almost tender. In this realm of desolation, they carry tools made of sharpened ice and bone, and their hushed movements are accompanied by the faint, rhythmic asterisk chink dash chink dash chink asterisk of their tools against ice. They are carving, meticulously, patiently. They are carving patterns into the ice walls. Around the frozen bodies, adding to this macabre gallery of despair, they seem to ignore you completely, absorbed in their chilling work. These are the chilblains, or sorrow carvers as some ancient texts refer to them. They are not demons in the traditional sense, but aberrations, native inhabitants of this layer, born from the deepest, most pervasive despair. They are the ultimate aesthetes of suffering, finding a perverse beauty in the eternal agony captured within the ice. Their purpose, if they have one beyond this endless, morbid art, is unknown. Some speculate they are custodians of the layer's despair, cultivating it, enhancing it. Others believe they are simply mad, driven to this unending task by the very nature of their home. They make the meticulous, obsessive work of ancient Egyptian embalmers, preserving bodies for the afterlife, seem positively heartwarming by comparison. At least the Egyptians believed in a future. The chilblains seem to believe only in the eternal, present moment of despair. As you watch them, the mental pressure of the layer intensifies. It's no longer just the general apathy. Here, amidst these chilling artists of sorrow, you feel a profound, aching sense of asterisk loss asterisk. Not just of hope, but of everything you ever held dear, every memory, every connection. It's a nostalgic despair, a longing for something irretrievably gone, intensified by the constant, silent witness of the frozen faces around you. You might find yourself weeping, not from fear, but from an overwhelming, existential grief for the simple fact of having existed, of having loved, of having asterisk been asterisk something more than a shivering consciousness in a frozen hell. This is the abyss hitting you with the emotional equivalent of a sad puppy video. But the puppy is also a manifestation of your deepest regrets. One of the chilblains, larger than the others, perhaps an elder or a leader, finally pauses its work. Its head, still hooded, turns slowly towards you. You feel an ancient, piercing gaze, not malicious, but infinitely weary, filled with the collective sorrow of ages. It doesn't speak with words, but a thought presses into your mind. Cold and clear as a winter morning, asterisk you are warmth. A spark in the void. You disturb the stillness, asterisk. Then, with a creak that sounds like 1,000 years of ice shifting, the colossal skeletal hand itself begins to move, slowly, imperceptibly at first. The individual fingers, the immense ice spires, begin to asterisk flex asterisk, grinding against each other with a sound like tectonic plates tearing apart. The faint internal lights within the knuckles pulse with increased intensity. You realize with dawning dread that this hand, this monument, is not merely a structure. It's an extension of the Chillblains, or perhaps of an even greater entity, roused by your unwelcome presence. It's a sentient, colossal trap, and you've just walked right into its frosty palm. This makes the classic Trojan horse strategy seem straightforward. At least then you knew the horse wasn't going to try and crush you with its giant wooden fingers. The Cryonax, still wailing outside, now changes its note. Its howl gains a new quality, less frantic, more anticipatory. It seems to have sensed the awakening of the hand, or perhaps it's merely waiting for its prey to be delivered. The air inside the chamber grows even colder, a new, deeper chill that seems to come from the heart of the ice itself. A malevolent cold that promises not just death, but eternal, frozen non-existence. The Chillblains, for their part, resumed their carving. Their tools asterisk chink chinking asterisk with a renewed, almost joyful rhythm, preparing new spaces for new, frozen occupants. The finger spires above you begin to lower, slowly, inexorably, casting vast, moving shadows across the chamber. The colossal hand is clenching, tightening its grip. You are trapped within its icy maw, a living warmth soon to be extinguished. Added to the macabre collection of frozen despair, the psychological pressure intensifies further. The memory of the brief planar breach. The glimpse of order now seems cruelly ironic. A fleeting hope in a universe that only delivers endless permutations of suffering. It's like being given a winning lottery ticket, only to have it dissolve into confetti right before your eyes. You frantically search for an exit, a crack, anything. The Chillblains continue their carving. They're silent. Hooded forms a chilling backdrop to your impending doom. The ice walls groan, the frozen faces stare, and the monstrous hand slowly, patiently, tightens its grip. The vastness of the abyss suddenly feels terrifyingly small, a cosmic freezer closing in around you. This is it. This is how you become another permanent exhibit in the Museum of Absol Torment. A frozen testament to chaotic evil's chilling embrace. But as the finger spires draw closer, threatening to crush you into crystalline dust, you feel a sudden, violent shudder run through the entire structure. Not from the hand itself, but from deep within the ice. Beneath the very foundation of this skeletal monument is a resonant asterisk THUMMMMMMMM asterisk. Low and powerful, like the sound of a cosmic gong being struck by an unimaginably heavy, unseen hammer. The Chillblains pause, their tools falling silent, their hooded heads snapping upwards. Their collective despair momentarily pierced by something akin to alarm. The colossal hand, in the process of clenching, falters. Its movements become jerky, uneven, as if wrestling with an unseen force. The internal lights within the knuckles flicker wildly, almost dying out, before flaring with renewed, desperate intensity. The Cryonax outside lets out a single, piercing shriek that doesn't sound like triumph or despair, but pure, unadulterated asterisk rage asterisk, a sound of utter fury and frustration. A crack, thin as a spider web, races across the floor of the chamber, directly towards you, shimmering with an ethereal, cold green light. It expands rapidly, silently, the obsidian ice fracturing with a sound like splintering diamonds. From the widening fissure, an intense, blinding beam of pure white light erupts, stark and impossibly bright against the dim, icy gloom. It's not the sickly, bruised purple of the previous layer, nor the muted blue-green of this one. It is a pure, clean, asterisk-ordered asterisk light, utterly alien and anathema to the abyss. The white light pulsates, pushing back against the encroaching cold and the immense pressure of the hand. The Cryonax outside shrieks again, its rage now mixed with a note of something like pain. The colossal hand convulses, its fingers twisting, no longer clenching, but seemingly trying to asterisk push something away asterisk. The chilblains scatter, their silent, controlled movements replaced by a panicked, chittering scramble, their cloaks flapping as they disappear into cracks in the ice. From the fissure, something begins to emerge. Not a demon, not a soul, not a frozen horror. It is a shape, geometric and precise, glowing with that same pure white light. It's too bright to make out clearly, but its form suggests sharp angles, perfect lines, and an almost impossible symmetry, utterly out of place in this realm of chaos. It moves with a calculated, unwavering purpose, a deliberate, precise motion that cuts through the despair and the swirling chaos like a surgical laser. The monstrous hand of ice recoils, groaning, its immense form shuddering. The very ice of the chamber begins to asterisk melt asterisk where the pure white light touches it, not with heat, but with an impossible, annihilating purity, as if the light itself is dissolving the chaotic essence of the frozen plane. The Cryonax's wails grow distant, its presence seemingly repelled by this intrusion of absolute order. You are no longer the focus of the hand's attention. The emerging entity of pure order, whatever it is, has become the new. Pressing concern for this absol layer, you feel a new force, not a pull towards consumption, nor a push of rejection, but an almost involuntary asterisk reorientation asterisk towards this new, startling presence. It's as if your very essence, accustomed to the endless chaos, is being pulled towards this anchor of absolute structure. The choice to flee, to fight, or to surrender now seems moot. You are simply along for the ride, a bewildered witness to a cosmic clash between absolute chaos and absolute order, right here in the freezing heart of the abyss. And frankly, after the day you've had, you're just happy not to be a demon's lunch or an ice cube. Though, to be fair, the odds of becoming one or the other still seem pretty high. You're just a highly inconvenient, squishy variable in a cosmic equation nobody quite understands. You're just a highly inconvenient, squishy variable in a cosmic equation nobody quite understands. The colossal hand of ice, that morbid monument of frozen despair, groans again, a sound like a tortured glacier tearing itself apart. Its immense finger spires, which moments ago threatened to crush you, are now flailing, twisting, as if trying to swat away an irritating fly. But the fly in question is a beacon of absolute, annihilating order. The pure white light erupting from the fissure in the floor pulses, intensely, rhythmically, casting sharp, unnatural shadows that cut through the dim, bruised purple gloom of the icy chamber. Where the light touches the obsidian ice, it doesn't just melt. It dissolves, hissing and steaming, leaving behind not water, but empty void. As if the very essence of chaos that formed the ice cannot withstand the raw, untainted presence of its antithesis. It's like watching a meticulously crafted sandcastle being hit by a perfectly straight, perfectly focused laser beam. The sand doesn't just fall, it ceases to be. From the fissure, the geometric shape continues its emergence, slowly, deliberately, with a precision that feels almost painful to witness in this realm of constant flux. First, you discern sharp, intersecting planes, then angles that are perfectly 90 degrees, then a surface that is flawlessly smooth and reflective, like polished chrome. It's too bright to see every detail, but you get the distinct impression of perfect, immutable structure. It's a modern, you realize, with a sudden, brain-aching clarity. Specifically, it appears to be an asterisk pentadrone asterisk. Its 5 perfectly symmetrical sides tapering to a point, each facet bristling with an array of optical lenses and articulated appendages that move with an almost imperceptible, yet terrifyingly exact, micro-adjustments. No wasted motion, no hesitation, no uncertainty, just pure, unadulterated purpose. The pentadrone rotates slowly, its multifaceted form reflecting the dying lights of the chamber and the pure white brilliance of its own core. Its movement is utterly silent, not even a whisper of air displacement, as if it exists in its own perfectly frictionless reality. There are no telltale whirs or clicks of gears, only the subtle, almost subliminal hum of pure, cold logic made manifest. It's like watching a robot designed by Euclid and powered by the purest mathematics, completely devoid of anything resembling emotion or organic life. If the abyss is a realm where the laws of physics are polite suggestions, this modern is a walking, talking, perfectly calibrated enforcement agency. It makes the meticulously engineered structures of ancient Rome, with their precisely calculated arches and aqueducts, seem like the crude doodles of a child. This thing asterisk is asterisk the very essence of architectural perfection. And it is here to deliver a very pointed message to the abyss. Asterisk your chaos is unacceptable asterisk. The colossal hand of ice, meanwhile, is having a cosmic seizure. Its tremors become more violent, more spastic, as if an invisible force is trying to tear it apart from the inside. The frozen faces embedded in its walls contort further, their silent screams echoing with a new, acute agony, as if the purity of the modern is burning away the very despair that constitutes their being. The cryonax outside, its wail now a continuous, high-pitched shriek of pure, unadulterated asterisk hatred asterisk, smashes against the outer shell of the hand, sending shockwaves through the chamber. It's not just trying to get in, it's trying to asterisk destroy asterisk the hand, to obliterate the source of this abhorrent intrusion of order. It's a furious, elemental tantrum from a being whose very existence is anathema to structure. You, the highly inconvenient, squishy variable, are caught in the middle. The involuntary reorientation towards the modern intensifies. It's not a comforting pull, not exactly. It's more like being snapped into a rigid, predetermined alignment. Your thoughts, usually a chaotic swirl of sarcasm and existential dread, suddenly feel neat, categorized. Your own internal monologue feels like it is being run through a strict grammar checker and then alphabetized. It's profoundly unsettling, a different kind of violation, almost as terrifying as the crushing despair of the ice layer itself. The abyss seeks to break you, to absorb you into its chaos. The modern, it seems, seeks to order you, to fit you into its precise, logical schema, which, let's be honest, probably has very little room for sarcasm or your general sense of existential malaise. It's like being caught between a rabid dog and a perfectly logical, emotionless tax auditor who wants to ensure every single one of your thoughts is properly filed and accounted for. The modern fully emerges from the fissure, hovering silently above the melting ice, its perfect form unwavering even as the colossal hand continues its agonizing convulsions. It emits no sound, no discernible breath, yet its presence is deafening, a silent roar of absolute, unyielding law. The pure white light emanating from its core expands, pushing back the shadows, revealing more of the chamber's grim interior. More frozen faces, more embedded bodies, each one dissolving slightly where the light touches them. Their torment perhaps ending, or simply shifting into something else entirely. It's a strange, cold mercy, if it's mercy at all. This sudden appearance of a modern in the depths of the abyss is, to put it mildly, a cosmic anomaly of epic proportions. Plainer scholars would lose their minds. Imagine a particularly fastidious librarian suddenly appearing in the middle of a heavy metal concert, holding a clipboard and insisting on proper decibel levels. It just doesn't happen. The moderns of Mechanus are the living embodiment of cosmic order. Their purpose is to maintain the proper functioning of the multiverse, to catalogue, to balance, to ensure everything adheres to a logical, precise pattern. Their presence in the abyss is usually only for the most dire of situations. Perhaps a rogue demon lord is disrupting the natural flow of planar energy, or a chaotic anomaly threatens to breach into Mechanus itself, or, most terrifyingly, they've come to clean up and you, my friend, might just be collateral damage in their celestial spring cleaning. The Pentadrone doesn't acknowledge your presence, not directly. Its multifaceted eyes seem to be scanning the chamber, or perhaps the entire layer, processing data at an incomprehensible rate. Its appendages, previously still, now begin to move with fluid, precise motions. One extends, ending in a perfect, glowing point, and a beam of pure white energy lances out, striking the wall of the colossal hand. Where it hits, the ice doesn't just melt or dissolve. It shatters in a perfectly geometric pattern, breaking into pristine, crystalline cubes that then evaporate into pure light, leaving behind a perfectly circular, smoothly polished hole. No jagged edges, no debris, just a perfectly formed absence. It's like a cosmic hole punch, meticulously removing the chaos. The hand lets out a non-sound of unimaginable pain, a mental shriek that rattles your teeth. It pulls back its damaged digit, its entire form shuddering violently. The cryonax outside redoubles its furious assault, its howls transforming into something that sounds uncannily like a frustrated child's scream. It's clear that this modern isn't here to parley. It's here to enforce asterisk. You feel a subtle shift in the air, a sense of something loosening. The oppressive chill of the ice layer, while still present, feels less absolute, less soul-crushing. The pervasive sense of apathy and despair that gnawed at your mind seems to recede slightly, replaced by a strange, almost clinical sense of observation. Your thoughts, though still being internally categorized by the modern's influence, feel a tiny bit more like yours asterisk. It's a weird kind of freedom, the freedom to observe your own imminent demise with clear, precise thinking. Not exactly comforting, but definitely a change of pace. The pentadrone then turns its attention to the fissure from which it emerged. Another appendage, resembling a set of delicate, glowing pincers, extends and begins to meticulously reshape the edges of the opening. The fracturing ice around it doesn't just melt. It reforms, solidifying into perfectly smooth, white, crystalline walls, creating a cylindrical tunnel that plunges down into the depths below. It's not building. It's asterisk terraforming asterisk reality, imposing its own intrinsic order onto the chaotic essence of the abyss. It makes the engineering feats of ancient Egypt, like the precision-cut stones of the pyramids, seem like rough-hewn boulders. This thing could probably build a perfectly spherical pyramid out of pure light. As the tunnel solidifies, you feel a gentle, but firm, push. Not a violent ejection like before, but a guiding force, nudging you towards the newly formed passageway. The modern isn't communicating, not in words anyway, but its intent is clear. Asterisk proceed asterisk. It's not an invitation, it's an instruction. And given the angry, convulsing giant ice hand and the shrieking cryonax outside, proceed seems like the only logical option. It's like being offered a choice between a very hot frying pan and a very precisely machined, potentially dangerous fire escape. You choose the fire escape. Every time you slide or are guided into the perfectly smooth, circular tunnel. The white light from the modern's core illuminates it from above, reflecting off the pristine walls, making it blindingly bright. The air within is cold, but the biting, corrosive chill of the ice layer has been replaced by a crisp, sterile cold, like being inside a walk-in freezer designed by a very meticulous surgeon. The scent of ozone is still present, but it's cleaner, sharper, devoid of any metallic or putrid undertones. It smells like pure, distilled order, if order had a smell. The tunnel descends rapidly, but smoothly, without the jarring shifts or arbitrary changes in direction that characterized the previous layer. It's a perfectly straight, perfectly consistent drop. Something utterly alien to the nature of the abyss. You can hear the sounds of the struggle above receding quickly, the anguished groans of the hand, the furious wails of the cryonax, all fading into the distance as you are pulled further into the ordered void. It's a temporary reprieve, a perfectly formed bubble of unabsolved reality cutting through the chaos. You might even feel a fleeting moment of relief, a sense of safety that is utterly foreign and therefore, in its own way, deeply unsettling. This is the abyss, after all, safety is usually a prelude to a much, much worse horror. As you descend, you realize the tunnel isn't just a simple shaft. It's lined with what appear to be perfect, glowing circuits, a lattice of pure energy flowing with steady, consistent light. These aren't just aesthetic. They pulse with a low, harmonic hum that seems to resonate with the new sense of ordered calm in your mind. It's like being inside the cosmic equivalent of a server rack, where every byte of data is perfectly aligned and every process is running with flawless efficiency. It makes the most complex supercomputers of your world seem like abacuses by comparison. This is the inner workings of pure logic, powering something vast and incomprehensible. Historians and philosophers have long grappled with the concept of perfect order versus perfect chaos. Ancient Greek atomists like Leucippus and Democritus believed the universe was composed of indivisible, unchanging atoms, moving in a void according to natural laws. Later, thinkers like Descartes sought to explain the universe through pure reason and mathematical principles. But their orderly systems rarely accounted for the sheer, unbridled messiness of human experience, let alone the cosmic nightmare you're currently traversing. The modern, though, makes no such allowances. It asterisk is asterisk the mathematical principle, the unwavering law manifest. It's the universe's most extreme form of an obsessive-compulsive disorder, and it's cleaning up the mess the abyss has made. The descent continues for what feels like an eternity, though in this perfectly ordered passage, time itself seems to flow with a consistent, measurable rhythm. No looping, no fracturing, just a steady, relentless plunge into the depths. The absence of chaotic noise is almost deafening. Your ears, accustomed to the symphony of screams and groans, now ache with the lack of discord. You start to notice the faint, crystalline asterisk ping asterisk that seems to emanate from the walls, a sound like microscopic bells, or perhaps just the sound of pure computation occurring all round you. Suddenly, the tunnel opens into a new, impossibly vast chamber. You are not deposited gently, but released onto a surface that is not ice, not bone, but a colossal, perfectly smooth, rotating gear. It's immense, spanning miles across, its teeth intermeshing flawlessly with other, equally gargantuan gears, all turning in perfect, silent synchronicity within a cavern of unimaginable scale. The air here is still cold, but it's a dry, crisp cold, like the vacuum of space, carrying no scent at all. The light is a pure, unwavering white, emanating from the ceiling, which is composed of countless, shimmering crystalline fractals, each one a perfectly repeating pattern that stretches into infinity. This is a deep asterisk intrusion of Mechanus into the abyss. This isn't just a breach. It's an asterisk outpost asterisk. The very fabric of this chamber screams of absolute, uncompromising order. Every surface is smooth, every angle precise, every movement calculated. It's an entire ecosystem of gears, pistons, levers, and interlocking mechanisms, all operating with flawless, eternal precision. There are no organic forms, no grotesque parodies of life, only the cold, beautiful, terrifying machinery of ultimate law. It makes the Industrial Revolution's most complex factories, with their clanking machinery and soot-stained workers, seem like a child's Lego set. This is industry on a cosmic scale, powered by pure, unadulterated logic. You look around and see other moderns of various ranks, moving with their characteristic silent precision. Quadrants, with their foresides, methodically observing and recording data on glowing tablets that seem to float beside them. Decatons, with their 10 perfectly flat faces, processing complex calculations with bewildering speed. And in the far distance, barely visible through the shimmering light, you glimpse something truly immense, a colossal monodrome, a perfect sphere of chrome and light, hovering silently, its single eye fixed on some unknowable cosmic calculation. These aren't just foot soldiers. These are the very architects of reality, deployed to the most chaotic plane in existence. The purpose of this outpost is unclear, but its presence here, in the very heart of the abyss, is an act of unprecedented defiance. It's a cancer of order within the chaotic heart of creation, or perhaps, from the perspective of Mechanus, a necessary surgical incision. The constant, silent asterisk from asterisk of the vast machinery fills the air, a sound of perfect, ceaseless function that feels like a physical vibration in your chest. A counterpoint to the distant echoes of the abyss's own chaotic groans. It's a cold, unfeeling perfection. And while it might offer a temporary respite from the horrors of the abyss, it offers no comfort, no warmth, no humanity. It's the ultimate expression of the sublime, where beauty and terror merge into something beyond comprehension. You are now a tiny, organic anomaly in a vast, mechanical wonder. The moderns, unlike the demons or the chilblains, don't seem to actively ignore you so much as they categorize you as unnecessary variable or extraneous organic unit. You are not a threat, not a target, simply something to be processed, or perhaps tolerated within their calculated parameters. Their flawless, multifaceted eyes sweep over you without pause, without judgment, without emotion. It's a complete lack of malice, which, in its own way, is terrifying. As you stand on the surface of the massive gear, its slow, inexorable turning carrying you further into the mechanical labyrinth. You notice something truly unsettling. Embedded within the crystalline walls of this chamber, not frozen in agony like the previous layer, but perfectly preserved and encapsulated within the pure, white crystal, are what appear to be parts of Absol creatures. A perfectly preserved ballowing, its leathery membranes smoothed and rendered inert by the crystal. Of rock's talon, pristine and unblemished. Even what looks like a fragment of a larger demon, its raw, chaotic flesh rendered into a perfect, geometric lattice of pure energy. These aren't bodies. They are specimens collected, categorized, and meticulously preserved by the moderns. This is their cleanup. This is their way of imposing order by dissecting, analyzing, and ultimately neutralizing the chaos. It's not about destruction in the Absol sense. It's about containment and data collection . Every chaotic element is transformed, rendered inert, its properties meticulously recorded. It makes the most comprehensive biological museums of your world seem like amateur collections. Here, the specimens are not just preserved, they are reformed into perfect, crystalline symmetry, their chaotic essence stripped away. It's a chilling thought. What would the moderns do with asterisk you asterisk? A squishy, emotional, deeply imperfect organic unit. If they decided you needed to be catalogued, perhaps you'd become a very precisely measured, perfectly preserved, albeit entirely devoid of life, human specimen. Not a comforting thought, especially after all that effort to avoid being an ice cube. The hum of the machinery deepens, and the vast gear on which you stand continues its slow, relentless turn. You are moving towards the center of this titanic mechanism, where the light intensifies, and the sheer scale of the engineering becomes truly overwhelming. It's a place of perfect, terrifying logic, where every action serves a grand, unfathomable purpose known only to the supreme modern hierarchs. You've traded one kind of terror for another, the madness of unbridled chaos for the cold, unfeeling perfection of absolute order. Both are antithetical to your very nature. Both threaten to consume you in their own unique ways. And the journey, it seems, is far from over. In fact, it's just getting perfectly, excruciatingly, geometrically more complicated. You are a loose screw in a cosmic clockwork, and you have a sneaking suspicion that this clockwork doesn't like loose screws. And you're pretty sure it's about to try and tighten you, or, just grind you into dust. The precise, logical dust, of course. The hum of the machinery deepens, and the vast gear on which you stand continues its slow, relentless turn. You are moving towards the center of this titanic mechanism, where the light intensifies, and the sheer scale of the engineering becomes truly overwhelming. It's a place of perfect, terrifying logic, where every action serves a grand, unfathomable purpose known only to the supreme modern hierarchs. You've traded one kind of terror for another, the madness of unbridled chaos for the cold, unfeeling perfection of absolute order. Both are antithetical to your very nature. Both threaten to consume you in their own unique ways. And the journey, it seems, is far from over. In fact, it's just getting perfectly, excruciatingly, geometrically more complicated. You are a loose screw in a cosmic clockwork, and you have a sneaking suspicion that this clockwork doesn't like loose screws. And you're pretty sure it's about to try and tighten you, or, just grind you into dust. The precise, logical dust, of course. As the colossal gear carries you deeper into the heart of this mechanist outpost, the sheer, mind-bending scale of the operation becomes apparent. It's not just one chamber, it's a series of interlocking, perfectly aligned spaces, each filled with more gears, more pistons, more gleaming, chrome mechanisms. The crystalline ceiling, a fractal masterpiece of repeating patterns, reflects the pure white light in infinite tessellations, creating an optical illusion that makes it impossible to discern where the structure ends and infinity begins. It's a dizzying display of mathematical perfection, the kind of vista that would make a mathematician weep tears of pure, unadulterated joy. And a sentient being with a healthy fear of existential crisis quietly curl up into a ball. The air remains cold, utterly sterile, devoid of any scent, any warmth, any organic impurity. It's the smell of nothingness, of absolute vacuum. If vacuum could be permeated by an unwavering hum of perfect efficiency, you feel a subtle pressure, not from the air itself, but from the sheer order of the place, trying to smooth out any wrinkles in your consciousness. to align your very thoughts into neat, predictable rows. Your sarcastic internal monologue feels like it's being corrected by an invisible, highly efficient editor, pointing out logical fallacies and redundant phrasing. It's less about terror and more about an unnerving sense of being utterly, completely exposed. Every chaotic impulse, every irrational thought, every stray emotion scrutinized by unseen, unfeeling processes. You pass countless other moderns of every rank, each performing their precise, unending tasks. A Decaton meticulously calibrates a series of glowing energy conduits, its 10 faces rotating independently, its optical lenses whirring silently. A small, spherical monodrone floats past, trailing a glowing line of light that seems to be charting invisible ley lines of pure energy. They are the epitome of function, purpose, and complete lack of deviation. They make the most dedicated German engineers seem like a chaotic mess, prone to emotional outbursts and coffee breaks. Here, there are no coffee breaks, only calculations. The deeper you go, the more you notice the specimens embedded in the crystalline walls. Not just fragments of demons now, but entire, monstrous forms, perfectly preserved in their moment of capture. A towering, six-armed vrock, frozen mid-shriek, its leathery wings folded into impossibly neat geometric patterns against the crystal. A Bala, its fiery whip and sword extinguished, its immense form encased in pure, unblemished light, its expression of eternal rage softened into a chillingly calm, almost serene, repose. It's like a cosmic taxidermy display, each piece a triumph of order over chaos. A testament to Mechanis's ability not just to fight the abyss, but to absorb and convert it. Imagine being so utterly confident in your own principles that you literally turn your enemies into decorative fixtures. That's modern-level commitment. This practice of purification through encapsulation is a point of morbid fascination. For some planar scholars, it highlights the fundamental difference between law and chaos. Chaos seeks to break down, to corrupt, to consume, and remake in its own image. Law seeks to categorize, to control, to impose structure, and, if necessary, to neutralize by integrating into its own order. It's not about good or evil, per se, but about the very nature of existence. This place isn't just fighting the abyss. It's actively trying to fix it. Like a cosmic IT department debugging a really, really buggy operating system. Even if that means deleting vast chunks of data, and you're still a highly inconvenient, squishy, and definitely unbugged data point. The colossal gear brings you to a central platform, a vast, circular expanse of polished, white metal that hums with an almost unbearable intensity of ordered energy. It's the nexus of this outpost, where all the other gears and mechanisms seem to converge. Feeding into or out of this singular point, hovering above this platform, almost motionless, is a modern of truly awe-inspiring proportions. Secundus ***. It's an immense, perfectly spherical entity, its surface composed of countless, intermeshing plates of gleaming chrome, each one etched with intricate, glowing circuitry. Its singular, vast optical lens, located at its equator, slowly rotates, observing everything, processing everything, with a detached, cold omniscience. This Secundus is a direct subordinate of Primus, the ultimate ruler of Mechanus. Its presence here signifies a mission of paramount importance, something far beyond mere containment or data collection. This is a direct intervention, a surgical strike at the heart of the abyss, powered by the collective will of absolute order. Its very existence here is an affront to the plane, a deliberate act of conceptual warfare. You can feel the sheer logical weight of its presence, pressing down on you, trying to reduce your complex, messy reality into a simple, solvable equation. It's the kind of being that wouldn't understand a joke, a metaphor, or a spontaneous act of kindness. Only pure, unadulterated logic. The Secundus slowly descends, its descent utterly silent, controlled by unseen forces. As it lowers, the light from its core intensifies, pulsing with a steady, unwavering rhythm that seems to echo the beat of your own heart, only perfectly, coldly precise. You feel an even stronger reorientation, as if your very atoms are trying to align themselves into a perfect grid pattern. The last vestiges of chaos within your mind seem to evaporate, leaving behind a terrifyingly clear, analytical understanding of your situation. You are a biological anomaly, and you are about to be processed. Suddenly, the Secundus stops its descent, hovering about 20 feet above the platform. Its vast optical lens, previously scanning, now focuses directly on you. For the first time, you feel truly seen by a modern, not just categorized as a data point, but recognized as an individual. Not with emotion, of course, but with a cold, piercing intellect that seems to strip away every layer of your being, exposing your core essence. It's the kind of scrutiny that makes you want to spontaneously combust, just to avoid the perfect, unblinking assessment. Then, a voice, not a sound, but a thought, projected directly into your mind. It's cold, metallic, devoid of inflection, yet perfectly articulate, composed of pure logic. Asterisk organic unit designation. Undetermined. Data anomaly. Proximity to planar breach. High. Integration into chaotic system. Minimal. Assessment. Potential variable for unforeseen computation. Asterisk, it's evaluating you. You, the squishy, sarcastic variable. This isn't a good sign. When a modern says potential variable, it usually means you're about to become part of a very unpleasant experiment, or perhaps a very precise demolition project. It makes being processed by a bureaucracy seem quaint. At least bureaucrats usually have forms. Here, you asterisk are asterisk the form. Before you can even process this chilling assessment, the Secundus's single. Vast lens expands slightly, and a focused beam of pure, white light emanates from its center, striking the precise spot on the platform where you stand. It's not a destructive beam, but an analytical one, a torrent of pure data washing over you, stripping away layers of your reality, cataloging your every characteristic, your every memory, your every thought. It's like being put through the most advanced, invasive full-body scanner imaginable. Only it's scanning your very soul, your life experiences, your unique chaotic blend of personality. You feel a bizarre mix of terror and an almost perverse curiosity, as if witnessing your own existence being meticulously deconstructed. The process is instant, agonizing, and utterly comprehensive. You feel your life flash before your eyes, not in a chaotic jumble, but in perfectly sequenced, logically ordered snippets. Your childhood memories are neatly categorized. Your anxieties filed under emotional irregularities. Your sarcastic thoughts tagged as suboptimal communication protocols. It's an inventory of your entire being, reduced to pure data, stored within the vast, crystalline mind of the Secundus. This makes the most meticulous historical archives or DNA sequencing projects seem like scribbled notes on a napkin. This modern has just downloaded your entire operating system. And then, just as quickly as it began, the beam retracts. The Secundus's lens contracts, returning to its default state. The silence returns, heavier now, burdened by the weight of your newly quantified existence. You feel lighter, somehow cleaner, and profoundly, terrifyingly, known. Asterisk analysis complete. The metallic thought echoes in your mind. Organic unit designation. Undetermined possesses anomalous resilience to chaotic influence. Exhibits spontaneous self-preservation protocols. Current location, optimal for relocation. Relocation.o. Joy. That sounds suspiciously like you're going somewhere even worse. But it's logical. In the abyss, optimal for relocation usually means the quickest path to a deeper, more horrifying demise. The modern outpost, you realize, isn't just a static collection of gears. It's designed for transport, for movement between planes, or perhaps, within the abyss itself, to navigate its chaotic layers with surgical precision. This Secundus has just decided your next destination. As if on cue, the colossal gear beneath your feet ceases its rotation with a barely perceptible hum. The entire platform shimmers, and the crystalline walls of the chamber round you begin to shift, rotating inward, forming a new, perfectly cylindrical tunnel. But this tunnel isn't descending. It's angling sharply upwards, leading into the distant, unblinking white light that is the ceiling of this vast chamber, where the crystalline fractals shimmer with impossible intensity. Destination. Unstable anomalous zone. The Secundus's thought voice informs you. Without a hint of concern or explanation. Probability of continued resilience. Low. Probability of successful data collection. High. Engaging relocation protocol Delta-7. And with that chilling, emotionless declaration, you are propelled upwards, not by an explosion of force, but by a smooth, perfectly calibrated surge of energy. The cylindrical tunnel narrows around you, the light from the crystalline walls becoming a blinding, all-encompassing white. You feel yourself accelerating rapidly, no sensation of wind or friction, just pure, unadulterated motion. Faster than anything you've ever experienced. It's like being shot through a pneumatic tube, directly into the heart of a supernova. But a very neat and orderly supernova. The last thing you feel, just before the white light completely engulfs you, is the chilling, distant echo of that monstrous cryonax's rage, a faint, furious wail from the ice layer you just left behind. It is a testament to the modern efficiency that it managed to extract you, without further direct confrontation. But the abyss, it seems, hasn't forgotten you. And now, You're not just a variable, you're a variable on the move, catapulted into an unstable, anomalous zone. Whatever that means, it probably doesn't involve warm blankets and a nice cup of cocoa. It's probably going to be a lot more unstable and definitely anomalous. And Uray's still just trying to figure out if your internal sarcasm filter got catalogued by the modern. Because frankly, you're going to need it. The acceleration is beyond comprehension, a perfect, frictionless surge through that blindingly white tunnel. You are a projectile of consciousness, propelled by pure, unfeeling logic, hurtling away from the calculated chaos of the modern outpost and into the unstable, anomalous zone, which, for all your newfound clarity, still sounds less like a destination and more like a cosmic laundry list of things gone terribly, irrevocably wrong. The distant shriek of the Cryonax quickly becomes a faint, dying echo, swallowed by the sheer speed of your ascent. Then, with an abruptness that feels less like stopping and more like being instantaneously reassembled. In a new location, the blinding white light dissolves. You don't land, you simply are suspended in a space that defies every prior notion of reality you've accumulated. This isn't a cavern of ice, or a city of bone, or a chamber of gears. This is everything and nothing, all at once. The zone isn't dark, but the light is inconsistent, shifting like a cosmic kaleidoscope. Swathes of brilliant sun-drenched sky might bleed into absolute blackness shot through, with distant unfamiliar stars only for both to ripple and give way to the bruised purple and sickly green of the abyss itself, or the cold, clean white of Mechanus. Colors flash and fade, forms coalesce and dissolve. You might see a fleeting glimpse of a lush, verdant forest perfectly still and silent, only for it to be instantly replaced by a swirling vortex of raw, unformed elemental energy, or a silent, endless desert of red sand under a sky of pure liquid gold. It's as if all the planes of existence, and perhaps the spaces between them, have been tossed into a cosmic blender set to random. The air here is equally paradoxical. One moment, it's thick and humid, carrying the scent of damp earth and blooming flowers. The next, it's thin and frigid, tasting of ozone and metallic dust. Sometimes, there's no scent at all, just a profound, unsettling emptiness that makes your lungs ache. Sounds are equally disjointed. A brief, clear snippet of birdsong might be instantly overlaid by the distant roar of a balla, which is then replaced by the silent hum of modern mechanisms, all dissolving into a faint, indecipherable whisper that seems to come from the very fabric of the shifting reality itself. Your mind, already thoroughly processed by the secundus, struggles valiantly to categorize and interpret this overwhelming sensory input. But it's like trying to sort confetti in a hurricane. You realize, with a chilling clarity, that this isn't a layer in the traditional sense. It's a wound, a bleed, a cosmic tear where the fundamental rules of the multiverse fray and unravel. This is the space between the spaces, the raw, unformed potential that exists before reality solidifies into distinct planes. It makes the concept of a wormhole or alternate dimension from your scientific fiction seem quaintly stable. This is the ultimate glitch, where the very code of existence is being rewritten. constantly, erratically, by unseen, incomprehensible forces. Historians and cosmologists from various planes have posited that the multiverse isn't a static collection of realms, but a constantly evolving, expanding entity. This zone, then, might be the cosmic equivalent of a nascent thought, or a discarded draft, where new realities are briefly sketched before being erased or reshaped. As you drift for movement here is less a conscious act, and more a passive surrender to the shifting currents of reality. You notice fleeting figures, not demons, not modrons, not mortals, but what appear to be asterisk echoes, asterisk, or asterisk impressions, asterisk of beings. A shimmering, spectral night might ride across a momentary plane of fire, only to dissipate into a cloud of iridescent dust. A perfectly rendered illusion of a child's playground might appear, complete with laughing, translucent figures, before crumbling into a pile of obsidian shards. These aren't living things, they are residuals, imprints left by realities that briefly touched or formed in this anomalous zone. Ghostly afterimages of what might have been, or what is elsewhere. They are the multiverse's discarded memories, briefly flickering back into existence. The modern's assessment echoes in your mind. Asterisk unstable anomalous zone. Probability of continued resilience. Low. Probability of successful data collection. High. Asterisk you are the anomalous variable here. Because your consciousness, your unique blend of chaotic human emotion and rational thought, is perhaps the perfect tool to observe and process this fundamental instability. You are, in essence, a living, squishy data logger, an organic probe designed to experience the unexperiencable. It's a terrifyingly logical purpose, utterly devoid of any consideration for your well-being. It makes the cold, impersonal logic of early 20th century behaviorists, who viewed human beings as mere stimulus response machines, seem like warm, cuddly humanists. The anomalous nature of the zone means that the very laws of physics are in constant, contradictory flux. You might find yourself floating weightlessly for a moment, then plummeting as gravity briefly asserts itself, only for down to suddenly become sideways. Light might bend and twist, causing objects to appear where they aren't, or to vanish entirely. The very ground beneath your feet, if you find any, might be solid rock one instant, then liquid fire, then a shimmering, ethereal mist. There's no consistent horizon, no fixed point of reference. It's the ultimate expression of sensory deprivation and overload simultaneously, designed to break any mind that attempts to impose order on its inherent chaos. It makes the most surreal dreams of Salvador Dali seem like hyperrealistic documentaries, and the most esoteric quantum physics lectures seem like simple arithmetic. And yet, despite the overwhelming, brain-fracturing instability, there is a strange, profound beauty to it, a terrible, majestic grandeur in witnessing the raw, unadulterated process of creation and dissolution. It's the multiverse's secret workshop, where the blueprints are constantly being drawn and erased, where the very clay of reality is kneaded and reshaped. It calls to something deeper than fear, a primal sense of wonder at the sheer, unfathomable complexity of existence. This is where the universe takes its deep, shuddering breaths, where it dreams new worlds and forgets old ones. It makes the ancient Greek concept of chaos not as an empty void, but as the primordial, fertile ground from which all things emerge, feel incredibly apt. Suddenly, the shifting, flickering landscape around you begins to coalesce, to stabilize, not into a single, cohesive plane, but into a brief, perfect tableau. The chaotic colors resolve into a harmonious spectrum. The conflicting sounds blend into a single, gentle hum, like the distant resonance of a perfectly struck tuning fork. The paradoxical elements, the fragment of forest, the ripple of fire, the modern hum, the distant balla roar, don't disappear, but rather harmonize existing simultaneously in a state of suspended, impossible equilibrium. You see a vista that is utterly breathtaking in its impossible beauty. A single, colossal, ancient tree, its roots delving into what appears to be a nebula of swirling starlight, its branches reaching into a perfectly blue sky, its leaves shimmering with all the colors of the spectrum at once. On one side of the tree, a pristine, perfectly symmetrical modern city of chrome and light gleams, its gears turning in silent, perfect synchronicity, reflecting the distant stars. On the other side, a vast, jagged chasm of churning magma and obsidian, punctuated by mountains of screaming faces, stretches into a blood-red horizon. A landscape of pure, unadulterated chaos, but frozen in a moment of terrifying, static perfection. And in the very center, nestled at the base of the colossal tree, is a small, tranquil meadow of green grass, dotted with wildflowers under a gentle, yellow sun. A single, tiny, perfectly still butterfly rests on a blade of grass. It's a perfect, impossible synthesis, a moment of absolute clarity, where law, chaos, and the life-giving essence of a prime material plane exist in delicate, harmonious balance. It's the universe revealing its deepest truth, that all things, even the most contradictory, are fundamentally interconnected, part of a single, vast, unknowable tapestry. It's the eye of the storm, the singular point of stillness at the heart of infinite change. It's the ultimate data point, perfectly processed and presented by the very forces of the multiverse. For your unique, squishy consciousness to witness, the modern's voice, now less metallic, more like a distant chime, echoes softly in your mind. Asterisk data collected, integration optimal, return protocol initiated, asterisk. And just like that, the tableau begins to soften. The sharp edges of the modern city blur. The jagged peaks of the Absol chasm smooth. The vibrant colors of the tree mellow and blend. The sounds, that brief, perfect hum, lengthen and deepen, becoming a pervasive, gentle drone, like the distant, rhythmic breathing of a colossal, peaceful being. The intensity of the light fades, softening into a warm, inviting glow that wraps around you like a comforting blanket. The distinct sense of the plains, the ozone, the brimstone, the sterile air, all dissolve, replaced by a singular, clean, incredibly calming aroma. It's the smell of fresh rain on warm earth, of distant wood smoke, of sun-warmed linen, a scent that whispers of home and safety, and the quiet peace of mundane existence. It's the kind of scent you never notice until it's been utterly absent, and its return is a profound reassurance. You feel a gentle, upward drift, no longer propelled by force, but floating effortlessly. The images of the multiplanar tableau begin to recede, becoming smaller, softer, like watching a magnificent, complex painting slowly being veiled by a translucent curtain. The vastness of the cosmos, with its warring ideals and endless wonders, shrinks, becoming a distant, shimmering memory, a beautiful, terrifying dream you almost had. The sensation of cold, of heat, of mental pressure, of chaotic assault, all of it fades, replaced by a profound sense of warmth and comfort. Your consciousness, that weary traveler, feels itself settling, sinking gently into something soft and familiar. The analytical clarity imposed by the modern outpost softens into a gentle, contemplative calm, allowing your own thoughts, your unique, quirky, wonderfully messy thoughts, to slowly reassert themselves like ripples spreading across a tranquil pond. The long journey, the dizzying plummet into chaos, the relentless pursuit of ice, the cold, exacting logic of order, all of it now feels like a distant echo. A grand adventure that you are slowly, peacefully drawing back from. You are returning, not with a jolt or a shock, but with a quiet, gradual reintegration. The edges of the plains, the vast distances, the unfathomable horrors, all soften and blur into an indistinct, beautiful tapestry of cosmic events, no longer threatening, but merely existent. You feel the gentle rise and fall of your own breath, deep and slow. The sounds of your everyday world begin to filter back in. The soft hum of your fan, the distant murmur of traffic, the quiet creak of your bed, the overwhelming imagery of the abyss, and all its terrifying wonders recedes entirely, leaving behind only the faintest impression of a truly incredible journey. A story whispered from the edges of reality. Your mind drifts, heavy-lidded, perfectly content. The universe, in all its chaotic glory and perfect order, settles into its quiet, predictable patterns around you. The grand adventure is complete. All the fighting, all the fear, all the philosophical debates, they melt away like mist. There is only the quiet comfort of your space, the gentle hum of the world, and the slow, steady rhythm of your breathing. So, let your thoughts drift now and settle. The journey is over. The endless layers of the abyss, the cold precision of Mechanus, the impossible wonders of the multiverse, they are all safely tucked away, mere whispers on the edge of sleep. You are here, now, safe and sound. Rest deeply and dream softly. Good night.